Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Check Recheck here on Geek the F Out. I am Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
It's a shame sometimes that they don't see what happens beforehand.
No.
We're here to talk about Star Trek. If we can compose ourselves. No, this is gonna be. I'll just keep talking until you collect yourself. We're here to talk about season 2, episode 10, Journey to Babel, whatever, however you want to pronounce it.
Not to be confused with the movie with is it Leonardo DiCaprio that's in that? Babel.
Sure.
As Allison would say, Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
I almost said that.
Almost can't say it wrong.
First.
Oh. This is episode 39 overall of Star Trek: The Original Series. TVGuide.com says, while the Enterprise transports delegates, including Spock's father, Sarek, to a Federation meeting, a Tellarite representative is murdered, and Sarek is the prime suspect.
Murder! As John would say. Murder! Yes. Which, before we get into it, I will say I didn't know that was his parents either, and yeah, so that was a nice little twist. But anyways, let's get into it. Kirk and Bones are getting ready to receive the Vulcans onto the ship, and apparently they're going to be there for a while, and they already have a lot of ambassadors and people on the ship from different planets. And I thought it was interesting that when the shuttle is coming onto the Enterprise, they call it recovering the shuttlecraft.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not recovering it. It is entering them.
Yeah.
They are receiving it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of their shuttles because it has the NCC 1701-7 on the side. It's the Galileo. We see the Columbus in the foreground, which we had not seen the shuttlecraft Columbus before this, I don't believe. So I can see it in being very technical, as in they're recovering their shuttlecraft, but it is a little bit, it is stated in an odd way.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Bones asks Spock how to show him the Vulcan salute, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they all greet Ambassador Sarek and his wife Amanda, and my first note about that is this looks like the same dude that played the Romulan, and I looked up and I was like, oh my god, it is.
It is
Leonard.
Yep.
Which I don't know if we'll get into this in trivia. Is there a reasoning for that, or just
I mean,
because I feel like that would, like, did no one catch that back then?
No, I'm sure they did. But I don't think I put anything
lack of people that look
that in there.
Vulcan.
No, I just think they really liked him. They just really liked Mark Leonard, and they wanted to use him for something else, so they used him as Sarek.
I guess so. And let's see. Right away, I was like, oh, this guy really doesn't like Spock. And that's when Spock reveals that it's his parents. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That checks out why he doesn't like him. And they depart for Babel. I'm just going to pronounce it Babel. It's weird. Which apparently is a neutral planet where a council will be held. And we see some of these dignitaries, these ambassadors, people walking around the ship, and some of them have some very interesting looks, I will say, and we'll get into some of them specifically when they go to their little gathering that they have. And Kirk shows the Sareks around engineering. Meanwhile, Spock's mom is saying, you haven't learned to smile since being around humans. And he mentioned something that happened between him and his dad. So we get a little hint at that, which we'll learn more about later. And, well, actually right then, Mom tells Kirk that his dad didn't like Spock's career choice, and it's apparently because Starfleet uses Force, which Kirk is like, we really save that as like a last resort, but sure, Jan.
Mm.
And that's when Uhura FaceTimes Kirk saying that there was a brief message with symbols that she can't make out. What?
I just think it's funny that he's referring to it as FaceTiming Kirk.
Yeah, that's what she's doing.
I know. It's just it just amuses me
In the
to
60s.
hear it. Yeah, called FaceTiming. Like, yeah.
You're welcome. It's to get the laughs. So that's when I was like, so are all these delegates on the Enterprise at once? Which I didn't realize that the first time I watched it. But yeah, so apparently they want to keep Corridon out of the Federation. It gets really confusing. Then some people want Corridon in the Federation. So then they go to this conference room gathering, not conference room, but like this little gathering. And we see some robed men. We see these little men with gold skin, and which you could definitely see their real skin around their necks. They didn't really do it far enough. And they had little Doctor Who hats. Do you know those hats? Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were called. Cool. I was just like, Doctor Who hats. And let's see. And then apparently Spock's dad is 102. He looks great for 102. And then there's
day over 82.
Yeah, there's these pig-looking dudes with shiny suits that have these square cutouts in them, and their eye holes for the masks are so bad because they're like 10 feet away from them. So it's like clearly a mask. Like they didn't even try to like do any kind of prosthetics or anything. They just did full-on mask with eye cutouts. And one of the pig dudes, which we found out is Gav, tries to ask Sarek how he's gonna vote, and he won't tell him. And that's when one of the Andorians comes up, which I was like, is this the same species as Hemmer in Strange New Worlds? Is it?
Sort of. Hemmer is an Anar, which and the big thing with him was that they were blind. They're related to the Andorians, but they are their own species. But they're
okay.
They're related species.
Got it. And I have to say, I loved Spock's mom's outfit. Actually, I loved all of her outfits in this episode. They were great. Great costume department. And Bones tries to get some tea from Spock's mom as to what Spock was like growing up, and she tells him that he basically had a teddy bear, which Spock was very quick to correct that the teddy bear had 6-inch fangs. He's like, it wasn't really a teddy bear, it had fangs. And Spock's parents leave the gathering when Chekhov messages Kirk saying that there's an unidentified object coming towards them. So they go on the bridge. We have no idea who it is. And then Sarek and Amanda talk in their chambers. She asks if he's proud of Spock, but he doesn't really give an answer. And they do a cute little 2-finger touch that they do throughout the episode. It's like the Disney point with the touching. And back on the bridge, they get ready to fire when the vessel starts moving fast, and it's paralleling them, so they can't really get it. And then Sarek goes back to the gathering when Gav kind of corners him and asks him how he's going to vote. And he says he favors it and accuses them of taking the dilithium crystals from Corridon. And Kirk, and so they start fighting. Kirk comes in, breaks up the fight. And then literally next scene, dude finds Gav in a corridor in the chute thing coming down from the wall and notifies Kirk, which flashing signals. We have shirtless Kirk in this episode.
Yeah,
one of the 4 things.
No reason.
No reason.
For absolutely no reason.
It's like just... later in the episode, there's a reason. But this time there was no reason, which,
not at all.
I wasn't complaining. But anyways, So then Bones examines and he says he was killed by an expert. Spock says Vulcans would know how to do that. So instantly they suspect Sarek. And
Hmm.
Kirk tells Spock, yeah, his dad is the main suspect. They go to Sarek's quarters. They tell him Gav is dead and they start to interrogate him when all of a sudden he falls. And this is when I was like, is he having a heart attack? Which is essentially what Bones ends up saying he has. And on the bridge, Kirk consoles Spock, but he doesn't seem to be concerned about his dad at all, of course. And they realize that someone on board is in contact with the mystery vessel that's been following them.
Scandalous.
Scandalous. The mystery deepens. So then they go to sickbay, and Bones confirms basically a heart attack. And he says, Sarek says he's had 3 of them now, which they're like, what? You've had 3?
Yeah.
And right before he had 2 on Vulcan, and then 1 when Gav died, which, you know, is convenient, but seemed to be linked. So in order to give his dad the surgery, though, they would need a lot of blood, which Spock is a match for, but they would need to filter out the human part. But even so, like, it would drain Spock way too much, I guess.
Hmm.
And this is when I put in my notes that I was surprised Bones only has experience on humans when there's other species on board and other species that come on board. Like, especially with Spock being on board,
Yeah.
he should have experience. Like, he's half Vulcan and he's treated Spock before. So it's
Yeah,
interesting
because
that he was all of a sudden like, oh, I've only dealt with humans.
yeah, like because you would think because he could still be because he said late, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but like he didn't even know whether his blood pressure was good or not, and it's like you
Mhm.
should at least know that. Like you've got a
Mhm.
Vulcan on board that you need to tend to. Like I can get like not doing open heart surgery on a Vulcan, like that would still be a relevant like plot point. I've never done this before. I haven't even you know
Mhm.
haven't even theoretically done this like as practice like but to
Yeah.
not even know if his blood pressure would be good or not seems weird when Spock's like
Yeah.
literally right there all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So then Bones mentions an experimental drug that can help speed up blood production, but says it'll probably kill Sarek. So then Spock volunteers himself for that experimental drug. And then all of a sudden, Kirk is fighting one of the Andorians in the hallway.
It was very abrupt.
It goes from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and apparently he stabs him, which didn't even see until he was in sick bay. So then he messages the bridge to tell them that he was attacked by the Andorian, and he then passes out, just like Sarek. And I was like, take a drink every time someone passes out in this episode, I guess. And but then because he's out, Spock says he can't do the surgery since he is now in command. So that throws a wrench in everything. And he talks with the other Andorian. None of their interrogations really reveal anything about the one they have in custody. And Spock's mom tries to convince him to give up command so that he could, you know, do this, give his dad the blood and do the surgery. And she kind of, not plays with his emotions, but plays to his human side, saying that she'll hate him for the rest of his life if he doesn't do it. Which I was like, damn, mom, okay. And then she
Yeah.
slaps him. And at that point, I was like, I love her. You're you're great. I love this chaotic energy and like you don't give a fuck and you put Spock in his place cuz he needs that. Then all of a sudden Kirk is kind of better but not really better, just kind of better enough so that Spock can do the surgery. And he returns to the bridge and Uhura says the alien signal is coming from the brig inside the ship, and they go. Oh, it cuts to the scene of Bones doing the surgery and Spock donating blood, and Spock tries to leave because he figures out what's going on with the mystery vessel, and he tries to get up and Chapel like knocks him out with a truck. And the Andorian tries to leave and one of the guards knocks him out and he falls and one of his like antenna just like pops off and I'm like, oh, he's not one of those creatures and apparently there is an antenna in it.
There's an
And
antenna in the antenna.
yeah, exactly. Uh then the mystery vessel continues to hit the ship with itself, which I thought was interesting. Was that what was happening? It like
I don't.
grazes the
It
ship.
was like, I don't think it was hitting the ship. It was flying by and firing phasers at it because they said it's phasers. It's just phasers, but we don't see it actually shooting the ship. We just see it
Yeah,
like
it just
going
go
past the view screen.
past.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Um, and then Sarek's heart stops during the procedure, and then they have to kind of scramble to figure out what to do because everything's going to shit with all the movement the ship is making. And the Andorian lookalike comes onto the bridge but won't tell Kirk who he is. So then Kirk baits the vessel into thinking he's dead and waits till it gets close enough, and then he fires on it, which they plan to, you know, get a hold of the vessel, but then it self-destructs. And then the Andorian self-destructs with his own poison. So they really don't find out much. But then we go to sickbay. Spock and Daddy are okay. They tell Kirk, and he tells Kirk it was the Orions since they want the crystals, something like that, essentially. And Amanda tries to get Sarek to thank Spock. He says, no, that's illogical. And she gets mad, and they both make a joke about her emotions, which I was like, of course they do. And then Bones orders Kirk to bed and Spock to shut up, and he's like so happy about it. And his last line is, what do you know? I finally got the last word. And it literally was the last word of the episode.
Yep.
Very good. And that's it. That's all, folks.
All right. So what are your thoughts about this episode? Yeah.
It was good. It was very intriguing. I had no idea what was going on. There were so many things that happened. Now that I've seen your spoilers without context, that one game is accurate. Very accurate. That's how it felt the whole time. Like, who did it? What's going on? Especially because there was kind of two elements to it with both the mystery vessel and then whoever was doing the attacking on the ship. So like clearly we could figure out that they were related, but it was interesting that it was kind of like two parts that came together at the end. It was very fascinating. I was glued to the edge of my seat the whole time. Fascinating. What? You looked like you were gonna say something.
No, I was gonna say you'll pay for the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
What is that?
Like from? Monster truck. They're like monster truck rally commercials, like Monster Jam. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
I've never heard that.
No?
No, I've seen monster truck commercials, but that's new.
It's something like that. That might not have been where it's from, or it might have just been a local thing, but I know I've definitely heard that on like for events and whatnot.
Yeah, what did you think?
I liked it. It was a good episode. It feels like a quintessential, like it has everything you want for a shipbound episode too, for a bottle episode.
I forgot about an important part. We learn more about Spock and his family. We get to meet his family. Like, that was really cool. And, we love learning more about each of the characters, and especially Spock, because he is just such a fascinating character.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And, love that aspect. Okay, sorry. Continue.
No, I don't really have any other general things. Most of the other stuff I want to touch on is, like, favorite lines and moments parts. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So should we go to favorite lines and moments?
Just go to favorite lines and moments? Yeah.
Yeah. You go for it.
The dudes in the conference room, the dude in the robe, like the red, blue, and gold robes, those robes are in Star Trek Online. I'm pretty sure I have them unlocked. I was like, hey, I recognize those. That's where they're from.
Good job, Johnny. We're all so proud of you.
I had to laugh, like, because the little gold aliens, like, were those painted marshmallows that they were like? It looked like they were putting painted marshmallows in the drink.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I was paying more attention to the paint on their skin.
Yeah. I was paying more attention to they look like painted marshmallows that they dropped in the glasses before they poured the drink.
Considering they clearly just love to paint things.
Yeah, they just love painting things. It was really cool to see Tellarites and Andorians for the first time. That was awesome. What about you? What some stuff that you have?
So I have Bones's line to Spock at the beginning where he says, "That hurts worse than the uniform."
Yeah.
To do the Vulcan
salute, which it doesn't.
Salute.
It's just, I mean, some people can't do it. Some people can't spread
They can't spread them.
Yeah. Some people can't get their middle finger separated, or they. Yeah. I don't know.
And I loved Sarah Cunningham when his wife comes on board and he says, "And she who is my wife," or something like that. It was very proper, very Vulcan, very proper introduction, and love the random shirtless Kirk for no reason, because not gonna complain over shirtless Kirk. It's great. This episode was great. There's a lot of great moments. I feel like it's hard to I guess probably the standout scenes are when we saw all these different species for me, because I think this is like the most we've seen. We've only really seen kind of one at a time before.
Yeah, there's never been like a big mix.
Like it was cool to see so many. And once again, I question Bones. Why do you only know how to operate on humans? What's going on with that? Huh?
He's just an old country doctor.
Yep. Yeah. That's it for specific lines, and I think for moments.
I also had not a favorite moment. I should have said this during general thoughts. Like when Spock's trying to get up off the table during the middle of the operation because he wants to tell the captain about the Orion ship. Like, you have communicators, dude. Just fucking use them. Like, you don't have to walk out of the middle of the operation to go to the bridge. And I wrote down when Amanda has her outburst about logic, she's like talking to Spock and like sick to death of logic, and they do the thing about emotional, isn't she? I'm like, lady, you married the Vulcan. Like, you should be used to this by now. You know what you know what you got into.
Oh, I did like the moment where Spock is about to give the like statistics and she's like, please no, not
please
now.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kirk was kind of like, that's all it takes.
Yeah. To shut him up.
And then at the end, before McCoy's line, I think Kirk says, I think he's enjoying this. And Spock's like, indeed, Captain. I've never seen him so happy. Made me chuckle. But yeah, that's about it for my favorite lines and moments. So that would, you said that's all you had too?
Yep.
That would bring us to, that's what they said, but
there aren't any.
In a very rare
turn of events,
yeah, there are no that's what they said for this episode.
No, there's probably a couple, but I watched it a couple of times and it's just so serious of an episode that I feel like there wasn't really room for those anyways. Not like it needs to be a more fun episode, but I have noticed that that's usually when I find more of them. But yeah, maybe I was just too drawn in. I was on the edge of my seat too much to
I'm not going to say
notice.
it again.
Yeah, please don't.
All right, well, that'll
Sorry
bring us
for that,
to...
but I'm sure we'll have some next week.
That will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. And there is a lot more for this one than there was for last one. In the original script, Sarek and his company were beamed aboard the Enterprise, but after going over budget with the expensive Vulcan, Andorian, and Tellarite makeup, as well as the outer space footage of the Orion ship, there was no money left for the transporter effect. The Vulcan's transport to the ship by shuttlecraft was decided upon because it could be done completely with the use of stock footage from the Galileo 7.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
thinking.
how is that less money to do that shot? They just used... Okay.
Yeah,
I will
they just
say,
used previous footage.
that reminded me, the makeup for the... Is it Andorians or Andorans?
Andorians.
Okay, that's what I thought. It was great. It looked really good. I liked the like dimension that they added to it instead of just doing all one color. It looked really good. Especially because one of them,
cool.
the dude was like very old. And as someone who's done makeup on other people and a wide range of ages, it is not easy to do makeup on older people's skin. That's just how it is, unfortunately. So props to them.
Actor John Wheeler, in character as Gav, had so much trouble seeing through the prosthetics over his eyes that he was forced to raise his head to see his castmates. This added to the early mythos that all Tellarites were arrogant as well as belligerent and aggressive.
Yeah.
That is one thing. That is one thing Sarek says. Andorians just like, or not Andorians, Tellarites just like to argue. Tellarites just argue. That's just what they do. The vests worn by the Andorian delegates were recycled from the 1956 RKO film The Conqueror. Reggie Nalder's vest was worn by John Wayne in the film and had been auctioned off by Heritage Auctions in 2018. The same auction house that auctioned off the Universal Translator prop. Yeah, the lightsaber. But interesting that they mentioned that. Like, they mentioned this auction in the Memory Alpha quotes. There was no prop information for Metamorphosis on Memory Alpha. Like, nothing talking about the props or anything. Maybe it'll be added because that auction just happened October of 2023. It's February 2024 when we record this. Leonard Nimoy once recalled that Mark Leonard and Jane Wyatt came to him for advice on Vulcan culture. It's also kind of funny. It's like Leonard Nimoy and Mark Leonard.
Yeah.
Just makes me chuckle.
Cute.
They came to him for advice on Vulcan culture. Nimoy replied that he had come to believe Vulcans placed great importance on their hands and hand gestures and suggested Leonard and Wyatt find a way to demonstrate that when on screen. The actors then created the finger-touching gesture seen in the episode.
It's just so funny.
It's the Vulcan. Now kiss. It's the Vulcan. Now kiss.
Or just like a mini applause. Like a very polite mini applause.
Like half a golf clap.
Yeah.
It was cute though. It was cute. The little two-finger affection thing. There's a lot more, but I don't want to read like everything on this page because it's all fascinating. So go to the Memory Alpha page for Journey to Babel. And check out the behind the scenes information.
So many different ways you could say it.
Quite interesting. Babel. Baby Bell cheese.
We figured it out. Crack the code.
Babel.
That's really where they're going to eat cheese.
Yeah. It's all subliminal advertising for Baby Bell cheese.
Now I
Hashtag
want
not an ad.
those.
That will, yeah, me too. That'll bring
Sponsor.
us to spoilers without context.
Mm-hmm.
So I went first last time. So
Jizz.
Ensign Kayla will go first this time. We will bring Ensign
Jizz.
Kayla's spoilers
Jizz.
without context up on the screen.
So originally when I searched pig people, I was thinking of something else. And then I saw these ones from the Twilight Zone that I feel like are very famous, even though I have not seen this episode. So pig people. And then yes, I did Hemmer from Strange New Worlds because yeah, they looked like Hemmer, which of course once I looked it up, I'm like, oh, he's more white and yeah, he's blind, but very similar looking. And then I had to do Kylo Ren shirtless with the high-waisted pants because that's literally what Kirk looked like, shirtless with his high-waisted pants. And you know, any excuse to use that picture, I will use it.
Kirk Loren. Old Kirk Loren.
Kirk Loren.
Or Kylo Kirk.
And then Jim is Golden Face from The Office for the little Golden Face people. Especially this picture in particular because you can see his skin. It's not all gold, and that's how it was for these people. Like you could see it on their necks, their regular skin. So I thought that was fitting.
Indeed. Yours are better than mine, I think.
Yeah,
I think you did well.
You did Thank you. I was proud of these. Sometimes I'm not.
We'll bring my spoilers without context up on the screen then. I had to do I realized when you said earlier, you said the one game. I'm like, shit, like 3 of them are games. I didn't realize that I used like 3 different games.
Oh, yeah.
For my spoilers. Yeah. I did the game for the heart operation on Sarek. I had to do the Macho Man elbow dropping, doing the flying elbow, because when Kirk is fighting the Andorian in the hallway, he does this, I don't even know what it is. It kind of looked like an elbow drop, but it looked like he just jumped and kicked the wall. Like yeah, it was really weird. But my first thought was that like he just jumped and gave him the elbow drop. So that's what I did. I had to. I did the imposter from Among Us for the fake Andorian. Yep. And then instead of the game box for Clue, I used the movie poster for Clue, because there's Mayday and all sorts of stuff going on. They're trying to figure out who it is. It made me think of Clue. So it's Clue.
You know what I just thought of? Along those lines of Clue, it could have been like Knives Out or
oh yeah,
what was it, The Golden Onion?
Yeah, Glass Onion.
Got gold on the mind.
The Golden Onion is the bloomin' onion from Outback Steakhouse, because that is a golden onion. I want one now. And the sauce. Yeah.
All right. I haven't had Outback since I was little. We used to go there all the time. Tangent time.
Just go there for the bloomin' onion and the bread. Like those are the 2 best things. You don't need to go there for steak.
Which Cheesecake Factory basically has the same brown bread, but
oh yeah,
I think I like Outback's a little bit better. Plus it's cheaper than Cheesecake.
So that'll bring us to ranking the episode. But before we do, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell the crew what's coming up and where to find us?
Yeah, so I'm just realizing when this episode comes out, Dune will be coming out. So we will be talking about that soon. As of right now recording, we don't know what day, but we'll be talking about that. And we got our popcorn buckets because I will have mine by then. Johnny already has his. I will be getting mine soon. And yeah, you can find us at GTFO channel on all the socials, mostly on Instagram. And if you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. I don't know why my mind went blank all of a sudden. It sounded weird for some reason. Yeah, if you want to email us about anything. And yeah, we're here every Thursday for Trek Retrek at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Yeah, lots of fun stuff to come. might be doing a little bit of a comic series soon. We'll definitely be joining Vactor again to talk about the Star Trek comics, but might talk about some other comics too. We'll see. Johnny has no idea because I haven't talked to him about this yet.
No, apparently
He's
not.
just nodding. But like we said, I don't know if we're going to be premiering our new intro video, but if we do or not, either way, we want to expand into more geeky topics anyways. So, yeah. Anyways, on to ranking.
Right. And so, Kayla, how do you rank Journey to Babel?
I'm going to give this a captain. It's I wouldn't say it's my like favorite episode or one that particularly like it was great. I was on the edge of my seat once again watching it. Very intrigued, like I've said before. I need to come up with new words. I need to get a thesaurus or something. Just yeah, it was a very engaging episode. I loved learning about Spock. I loved meeting his parents, getting some more history about him. Once again, he is a very fascinating character. Yeah, it was great. Very watchable episode. Still some fun little antics in there, and I feel like almost everyone is involved in this episode in one way or the other. Obviously Sulu isn't there, but like, and Chekhov isn't really utilized very much, like kind of, and like Uhura isn't utilized very much, but they're there at least.
They mention turning command over to Scotty, but he's not seen.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But he is mentioned.
Okay, maybe not then. I take that back. But yeah, for the most part. Yeah, it was great. Watch it.
Okay.
That's my ranking, Captain.
You heard it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it Captain too because why not? How I know, right? You made it easy for me. I was just waiting to see what you made it, and I was gonna make it the same thing. No, I think it is. It's definitely one of the episodes that we have watched so far. It's one of the top 5, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it is another one of those. There's been a couple where I'm like, I think it was it Shore Leave where I was like this is like quintessential Star Trek. It's got all they go to a planet, weird shit happens. Like this is a quintessential ship-bound episode. Yeah, with
Kirk is shirtless,
diplomats, and it's got everything you want.
The important things.
Yeah, it's got everything you want from an episode of Star Trek, and it's so different from the other episodes that we've said that about too.
Yeah.
But still has everything that you want. It's great. It's a good episode. So I will give it Captain.
And it's nice because, I mean, you can tell me, but it doesn't seem like an episode where, like, I don't know. Like, I guess I should ask first before I say this, but like, is it an episode that's like iconic Trek?
No, not really. Not in the way that like, not to my knowledge, not the way that
not like Mud.
Muds are, or the one with the Romulans,
Spock and Mud.
Balance of Terror.
Yeah,
not in the way that those are, or City on the Edge of Forever, or you know, it's not one that gets mentioned the same way those do.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what gives this more merit with our rankings, is that we're ranking it purely on the episode itself and not because it's iconic in any way. Like, yes, we see Spock's parents and we get more background on Spock and his character, but at the same time, it's not like a iconic episode in
or
the
even
sense
like
of those others.
It is one of the top rated episodes on IMDb. It's rated 8.5 out of 10 with 3.9 thousand rankings. But even the Doomsday Machine, which we just watched a couple of episodes, is another one that's considered an iconic episode of Star Trek. It's rated an 8.7 on IMDb, and I think this is a stronger episode than that one.
Definitely. I think it definitely is. I can't even remember what happens in the Doomsday Machine.
The fleshlight tries to eat planets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Yeah. Watch this. Don't... As much as I would love to tell you to watch the fleshlight, watch this one instead.
Or Mirror Mirror, another one. Mirror Mirror is another iconic episode. This doesn't get talked about along those that I remember, or Amok Time from the beginning of the season, but I think it's just as strong as those.
I think because it's also similar to how at least Strange New Worlds episodes work and just modern day television. I feel like it's the most similar to those compared to the others are iconic for other reasons. But they're definitely not like today's shows. I feel like this has been the most similar to today's shows in like every regard except for the pig masks.
Yeah.
The rest is great.
So yeah, unanimous captain for Journey to Babel.
The center of the earth.
That will bring us to the next episode, Friday's Child. IMDb.com says, the Federation clashes with the Klingon Empire over mining rights to Capella 4. A sudden coup between its warrior-minded inhabitants forces Kirk's party to flee with the now-dead leader's pregnant wife.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mining rights. Like, get your... like, I think the vast majority... Yeah, the vast majority of the conflicts that we have seen in the original series have been over mining rights.
Dilithium crystals.
Yeah, as soon as they said that, I wrote down, I'm like, where did I put it? Dilithium figures. Like, that's why everybody was interested in this planet and its fate.
Yep. Figured it out. But yeah, this has been a fun one. Thanks everyone for joining. Also, especially compared to last episode. Thanks everyone for joining. Whether you're watching us live or on the replay, we appreciate it. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. Leave a comment if you like. Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for geeking the F out with us. Peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.